Hello YouTube, it's another gloomy day here in the UK, but that's not going to stop me from uploading another episode of my ongoing series, Valiant Till the Last, where I, your host Thomas Judge, will be talking through the entirety of the Valiant universe. Today, we're going to be talking about Bloodshot Reborn Deluxe Edition Volume 2. I own every single Deluxe Edition, and what I'm doing in this series is reading them all for the very first time. And at this point, which is video number whatever, we're on this, Bloodshot Reborn, so the second series of Bloodshot. This is the second deluxe edition. This is what the cover looks like. Not a big fan of this image, but whatever. Here's the spine, Bloodshot Reborn Volume 2. This is the second and final volume of Bloodshot Reborn, although there are further Bloodshot volumes we'll be covering over the next few weeks. And then this is the back cover, which hints at this new antagonist called Deathmate here. And really cool image there, the usual blurb on the back and so on. Opening blurb here. Just to point out, I'm pretty sure this had a typo in it. I do actually read these. They're not especially interesting, but this one actually had a typo in it. I don't know if anyone else has found that in their dust jacket as well, if anyone spotted that. And then on the back here, we have the creators. Alright, let's peel this off. We have the same logo as we had last week, which is the Bloodshot Reborn logo. Hopefully you can see that here. Looks pretty cool. And then we've got this on the spine. Very consistent as usual. Clean back. Inside end pages are black. I can't remember if last week's was black as well, but there we are. All the previous ones were red, I think. At least for Bloodshot. At least. So let's get straight into it. So this is book 2. And what does book 2 collect? Book 2 collects the following. It collects the Bloodshot Island story, which I assume it collected as a trade paperback as well. That's issues 14 to 18. And it then collects Bloodshot USA, issues 1 to 4, and then Bloodshot Reborn, issue 0. And then it has a series of one-shots that we'll talk about as well. Just on this note, I should point out that the Bloodshot Reborn series is only 18 issues long. There is then a second, completely separate series called Bloodshot USA, which is a 4-issue miniseries set after Bloodshot Reborn. The reason I point that out is that if you were to go online and go to Comixology or something like that, you're looking at Bloodshot Reborn, it will only show you 18 issues. Whilst this is a separate series that was released separately and has a separate name, it is set directly after this, and we'll talk about it more. But just so you're aware, Bloodshot USA is its own thing, and its own separate series. I guess it's worth just highlighting that because in the first series of Bloodshot that we looked at, which was over the last few weeks, you had Bloodshot, and then it renamed itself halfway through to Bloodshot on the Hardcore, and then it renamed itself back to Bloodshot. That's not what's happened here. You've got 18 issues, end of series, and then you've got a mini-series called Bloodshot USA. Anyway, we'll talk about it more later, but this is what this story arcs, and then you've got one-shots. So let's get straight into it. Bloodshot Island has got these 5 issues here, and those are the covers. It picks up literally to the page exactly where the last issue left off. So showing blood squirt here, and Bloodshot sort of asking questions and talking about various bits and pieces. It's really cool. Minor spoiler warning, I guess, is that it introduces other Bloodshots as well from different eras in time. So I think this is Vietman. Vietman is a Bloodshot soldier from Vietnam, oddly enough. And it introduces a few others, as you can see here. So you can have like a bit of an ensemble Bloodshot cast, and then the titular Deathmate as well. I'm not going to give any spoilers here as to who Deathmate is and their identity and how it resolves and so on, other than to say that it's cool. And this obviously follows directly on from Bloodshot Deluxe Edition Volume 1, and also follows directly on from Bloodshot, from the Valiant miniseries, which we read between Bloodshot and Bloodshot Reborn. So, yeah, here we have it, just continuing on. What can I say? It's just good. Great solid arc, good characterization, good storyline, very interesting. And then I think this one's issue 18, I think, which is kind of like a cool issue anyway. Yep. There we go. And then that takes us from issues 14 to 18. Sorry, let's skip through that quite quickly because I didn't want to give you guys any spoilers. As always, these videos try to be as spoiler-free as possible because I'm making the sorts of videos that I enjoy watching when I'm deciding if I should pick up a comic or not. And so I talk about build quality, I talk about the comic, I talk about overarchingly where it fits in, but I don't go into detail. If you want detail, as usual, other channels are out there that will spoil everything for you. If that's what you want, check it out. But anyway, those are the first 5 issues, issues 14 to 18, which is the Bloodshot Island arc. You then have Bloodshot USA with this pretty cool image here. This is set directly after issue 18, issue 17, 18 of the Bloodshot Reborn arc. So this is kind of like an essential miniseries if you want to find out how that situation resolves itself. That said, it's kind of like a mini event. It includes all these various characters. So you've got Geomancer again, Bloodshot Squad as they're called, I guess, Ninjak, Unity as a supergroup as a whole, and Livewire as a member of Unity, and various other bits and pieces. I do not understand why they made this its own miniseries rather than just having this as a final 4 issues of there's Ninjak, of the Bloodshot Reborn series. It literally makes no sense to me. I don't know why they've done that, but they have. And because they have, you just need to be aware of that for when you buy these and pick them up. Some awesome artwork, great colouring, great line work on the drawing as well. This is the cover for issue 3, which I really, really like as well. Really good story, really good resolution, and again continues the general arc of these characters, including Blood Squirt as well, in a really cool way. And it was just basically very enjoyable and highly, highly recommended. It's mapped very well in this deluxe edition, so all I can say is, yeah, the deluxe edition is definitely recommended. That's the end of Bloodshot USA, which ends with sort of this scene here, and then a cool little blood stain on the ground. And then you've got Bloodshot Reborn, which, as we will note, is pretty much the exact opposite of the front cover of Deluxe Edition Volume 1, and this is now the cover for Issue 0. And Issue 0 is set after Bloodshot USA, just to sort of add more confusion to it. I love this artwork for Issue 0, and I'm not sure who the artist is, but the art, the colouring, and the line work all work really, really well. The colouring especially is just excellent and really, really enjoyable. It's a good issue, and definitely worth reading after you read Bloodshot USA, because it then sort of indicates a lot about sort of the growth of the Valiant universe and what's happened to the major antagonists and the antagonist organisations and so on. We then have Bloodshot Annual 2016, so we now have 4 one-shots. So the first one-shot is this, Bloodshot Annual 2016, which is good. I don't really have much to add, other than it was good fun. And then, as well as that, hang on. Yeah, as well as that, it has like a jokey story here, which is essentially a pastiche of lots of other sort of comic things. So the Secret Convergence War of Infinite Squirts. Like, this is just a joke issue, and they even sort of like get all meta at the end and kind of make fun of it. And then it has this issue as well. Oh, sorry, this part of the same annual issue as well, which has got very different artwork. That story was okay. And then it's got like a comedy story here at the end. So ultimately the annual story was middling, and you could totally ignore it. And I guess it's the sort of story that if I was doing a custom collection, I would not bother including it. It just wasn't worth it. But there's no harm in having it in here. It's not terrible. It's just harmless, I suppose. The next one shot is this, which is Bloodshot's Day Off, featuring 2 of the members of the Bloodshot squad. Very cool, good story, very well thought out, decent characterization. It was enjoyable to read. And then we have 2 final one-shots. Now, this is important. These one-shots are things we're going to come up against in the future, over the coming weeks and months. So one of them is the Death of Bloodshot one-shot from the Book of Death, which is an event. And the other one is the Bloodshot one-shot from 4001 AD, which is a separate event. So, as we talk through these, as you can see here, Book of Death, Fall of Bloodshot. Now, the Book of Death is an event I know nothing about, but having read this, I can tell that the Book of Death is definitely set after the events of the Valiant, that 4-issue mini we talked about before. And I suspect it's going to be part of the 3 Brothers line of comics. By that I mean kind of Ivar Time Walker, Eternal Warrior, and maybe even Armstrong from Archer and Armstrong. So it is making me wonder whether or not I should pick up another Valiant hardcover of the Valiant to fit on that part of my reading order, but I guess that's just being ridiculous for now. What I will say is that the Book of Death hardcover, which I do own, contains a Fall of Bloodshot one-shot, which is this, which is kind of an interesting overview, I guess, of the Valiant universe and what it is in the future. And essentially, the idea is the Book of Death shows you how all these characters are going to die. A couple of interesting points. One, this is our first hint of a character called Rampage. And Rampage, I gather, becomes quite prominent later on, but this is the first time he's hinted at or teased. Subsequently, There's just some more stuff going on here. And then on this page, they hint the Psy Lords. Here we are, the Psy Lords had returned. Now, Psy Lords, I know, is a Valiant series that's come out quite a lot more recently, so a few years after this came out. So again, this is the first hint of those two things. And then you have, cool ending page there, then you have the end of that issue. Next up, we have 4001 AD. Bloodshot. So 4001 AD is another event that I haven't read. I think it's part of the Rye universe of comics. Again, I have the hardcover, and again, I will be reading it, but I have no idea what all this is about. Storyline was a little bit odd. Artwork was strong, but it's just a bit unusual. I kind of feel like I don't really have much context for it without having read Rye. But what I will point out is that this comic here, 4001 AD, is definitely set after the Book of Death. So it really anticipates you having read the Book of Death first before you read this, which is exactly the way that it's mapped, and I guess that's the best way to read these events as well. So anyway, then we get into the gallery. Standard gallery, to be honest. Looking good. Decent amount of extra features, but not ridiculous. And there we have it. Okay. Ta-da, there we go. Hopefully that was useful, guys. Hopefully that was another useful overview of Bloodshot Reborn. That's Deluxe Edition Volume 2. Next time round, what we're going to be reading is the next Bloodshot hardcover, which is called Bloodshot Salvation, which is another series of Bloodshot again. I don't know anything about it. I think it's 12 issues. Anyway, it's collected in its own singular Deluxe Edition hardcover, not a Volume 1, not a Volume 2, just Bloodshot Salvation. That'll be what we're covering next. Hopefully you found this useful. As always, please like, comment, subscribe below and let me know what you think. Thanks for watching.
Alright, thanks for watching, everybody. As always, please like, comment, subscribe. As always, please follow me on Twitter at @IamThomasJudge, where I will post a daily review of whatever comics I've been reading. You can get an idea of what I'm up to on the channel. And as always, please support the channel by heading over to Amazon.com and checking out my prose novel about superheroes. It's a completely original piece of work. The first episode in it is called Arrivals, and the series as a whole is called No Gods or Kings. You can find an excerpt of that on my website, nogodsorkings.com. Until next time, everybody, stay classy.